Tanto tiempo disfrutamos de este amor, nuestras almas se acercaron.
If you know, you know, right? If you know, you know.
Hermano, no te pases.
Bulavinaka Noyemori, guys. This is a Just and Equitable Transition Talanoa series, the Traveling Diplomat with JJ. We have a special episode today. Give yourselves a hand. Yeah, let's go! Guys, this is a special episode because we have two of my friends, two of my close friends, two of my colleagues, and two great people here with us today to share a little bit about themselves, their work, and their engagement at the IMO in maritime and ocean spaces, but also as normal human beings. Hermano. And just to put in context, one of my first highlights that I had with these two amazing people, with these two guys, or I call them hermanos, was in 2020, what was it, 2024, 25? We all came together in one of the meetings in Brussels. And I think when we all came together, we spent a really good time bonding with each other. And they taught me a lot. So they also helped me learn more about the space, being involved, but at the same time we got to bond over this amazing TV Netflix series. On your right, you can see it right there. There's the link there. It's called Narcos. So please, if you have the time, please go and watch that series. It's a great series as well. So it gives a good history. Hey, hermanos. So guys, first we have Pierre Jean Bordahandy and brother John Kautoke, they're with us today, so we're so excited. And with that, I wanted to give space for first of all for them to introduce themselves, their background, their origin stories, what they do. Just a short bio of themselves before we get into our Talanoa today. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Stay tuned. This is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, no, of course, it's been 2024. Huh? That was the last time we were in Brussels together. Man,
yep.
It seems like a long time ago. Actually, it feels like it was just last year, but I guess it really shows how long we've been going down the GHG stuff. But that's basically what I'm trying to do here at the MCST, is to try to work with the countries at the Six-Pack, which is a coalition of Pacific Island states, try to get them their position unified in terms of the GHG negotiations. What did they say? What they need to understand about the negotiating landscape, about the politics and all that. Those are things that they need to understand before they get there for the meetings, and that's what I help with, and PJ helps with that a lot as well. And we also try to coordinate with other regions as well, the Caribbean, Africa, and experts from those individual groups. Just trying to make sure that the voices of those countries are really heard in these negotiations, which are really important for them, and that they're fully aware and able to participate and make decisions for their countries, which also align to their regional and also national priorities. But as you know, we've been going at this for some time now. I think I'm probably, between you and me and PJ, I'm probably the latest person to join MCST. I think 2024 was the one I joined, but you guys were there for a bit longer. I was at the Tonga High Commission prior to that. I was looking at IMO stuff as well. I think it's been a great experience and learning curve, and I think it's been really great working with the team at MCST to do transformative work in our region.
Nice.
Looking forward to more.
Yeah. PJ?
It's great initiative as usual. JJ, formerly JT, known as the man, is always a very creative, and so we're glad to have him in the team. So yes, formerly I was an academic working for the University of the South Pacific, and then I did support the early days of the Micronesian Centre for Sustainable Transport as volunteering with the negotiation at the IMO. And then we managed to structure things a bit better and have some funding to be able to support Pacific countries on a more permanent basis. So we are still and remain still a very small team, and so we have all different skills, which is really good because we are complementing each other's, and it's very good to be working in this team. But it has been a very steep learning curve, particularly for those of us that never really took part of multilateral treaty negotiation in an international organization, and particularly at the IMO, which has a operating way that is I would say not entirely in line with the other UN agencies, although they're all different. And so it's been very, very steep learning curve, having to develop skills in domains where I didn't think I could ever look into, and having to produce anything. So it's been very challenging. But thanks to the team, I think we are pulling way above our weight. Extremely technical stuff, but also very diplomatic challenges, and so you have at the same time to be technical and really on top of the science and the technical part of it, but also being able to carry that forward in an adequate manner so that it's heard and it's received where it needs to be received. So very, very interesting experience indeed.
Okay. Now, again, thank you guys, the work that you're doing. And I think working side by side with you guys has been an awesome experience. And, I continue to learn a lot from the both of you. But I want to dial it a little bit back. We're going to reverse a little bit. Reverse. Before you guys came to the IMO and, before, we all met up together, I wanted to ask both of you, what were some of the, guys, PJ and JK here, they're part of our legal team with MCST that help, provide technical support and research support to Pacific delegations that come to the IMO. But, going back, what were the initial motivations or like inspirations of both of you getting into, international law and, the ocean space, first of all? I'll start with you, PJ, first. Like, how did you get into that space?
Right, thanks. So I came at it from a totally different angle because I'm a private lawyer, which means that I usually deal with private law and companies, and I'm not a public international lawyer. So I was never dealing with this and thinking of dealing with these things. I did a bit of research in public maritime law and public international law with ocean aspects to it, but that was never really my choice of expertise, and so this is why I had to really learn on the go. And so what initially brought me into this sphere was the fact that the Pacific, there's not too many. There is only one regional university, and so there was some expertise. So I answered the call basically. And try to help where I could, and so because of that, I was dragged for more. Obviously, the appetite for in the lawmaking process, in trying to make a change here and trying to support, because when you live in the Pacific and when you know a little bit maritime law, you know how much the Pacific is dependent on maritime connectivity, and how important the ocean is for not only economic life on the island, but also culturally, and I'm sure you'll talk a bit more about that. But the ocean is really at the center of the culture in the Pacific, and so this is for this reason first that I moved to the Pacific, because I'm really in love with the ocean. I spend as much time as I can when I've got a bit of a break from work. I'm either in or on the ocean. And so that what brought me in the Pacific, and then trying to make a change, as JK said earlier on, trying to support Pacific states, because we realize how important it is, and how sometimes not well equipped they are. They know the ocean, they know their environment really well, but it's this interface between, the international architecture and Pacific countries.
Yeah. And guys, I think PJ is selling himself a bit short here, and he's being a bit too humble, guys. So just to let you guys know, I think JK and I have seen PJ firsthand that he's an amazing kite surfer. And if you don't know what kite surfing is, here's a little video of some kite surfing you can see over here. Thank you, Mr. Editor. So, he has this full kit. And I remember, I think in December, JK and I went to visit PJ in the south of France. Amazing place. And he has this whole kit of this amazing kite surf equipment. So, PJ, tell me, what got you into kite surfing? I mean, you're amazing at it. I've seen you firsthand in Majuro. What got you into it?
I would say this is again the same idea. It's the freedom. It's the same experience that you have when you're sailing. You're on a. I'm
Yes.
sure it was the same for the Pacific Islander when they were on the canoe and just being carried away by the wind and being able to really be in control. You've got your life in control there. You decide what happens next, and so this is something that is very unique and obviously that I'm very passionate about.
Beautiful. What age did you start kite surfing?
Actually, quite late.
Wow.
I've only been kite surfing for the past 8 years. Yeah.
Whoa! And you're that good? You're lucky I don't have a video of you, but yeah, guys, this is kite surfing. It's so cool. It's so cool. I highly recommend, pick it up as a cool hobby, like Brother PJ. How about you, JK?
No, yeah, I think it was very, very serendipitous how we got into this work. You can put the definition of serendipity somewhere.
Right here, on this side. Right on this side, guys. On this side.
It was quite serendipitous. I think, yeah, it's in terms of international work. I mean, my dad was a diplomat, so we were moving around Europe a lot. And yeah, I kind of picked up the work ethic and the importance of their work for a region from my dad. Also, my sister Rose, who's also been doing a lot of international work in the ocean space. So it's kind of like a family trait in public service, to be working public service for Tonga. But it's something that is really important for me, especially for our people, because we don't have much resources to really amplify our voice and what we need. And I think in terms of the ocean, I do have a really deep connection with the ocean. My name, actually, my actual name that's not appearing on my name is Fatui Moana. That's really important. You should put that there because that name means made in the ocean.
Wow.
That's a really deep connection with the ocean. And, as PJ said, Pacific peoples are really oceanic peoples. The ocean is it's on our doorstep. It also feeds us and stuff. So, and I all grew up right next to the ocean as well. But yeah, I think it's also looking now. I think we're at a really critical time in international law. I mean, you see like the international order is starting to break down, right? You see like superpowers are starting to act like superpowers again. They're just doing anything they want. And it's really important for us in the Pacific because international law protects everyone and it protects the most vulnerable. It protects us. And I know that the track record of international law and how it's applied hasn't been great over the preceding decades since the end of World War II. But now we're starting to be in a really, really bad place for the international rules-based order. And it's also quite worrying to see now because this is a time when we need to be working together to address climate change, environmental degradation, protecting the oceans. And it's a time where there's been so much political division. We're starting to see that as well in our work with the IMO, right?
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to get lost in that what's happening around the world and what's happening in the IMO and forgetting about the people who are actually being impacted by this work. And it's something that really drew me into putting all my energy into the work. It's the people that are affected by that. And our people are most affected. But yeah, I think, yeah, we do have deep connections to the ocean. It's in our blood as Pacific peoples. And PJ has spent enough time in the Pacific, and now he's a Vanuatu citizen. He understands all the
Yeah, let's
in
go!
the region.
Taui!
Yeah, that we. But yeah, I think this is the things that keep us connected to the work. It's very challenging at times. We can all attest to that. Very challenging work, but I think it keeps us, we're grounded because we know what's at stake and we understand it.
Oh, okay. So, speaking of, being grounded and, and learning from it, when you guys and your experiences, what have been some of the hardest lessons and some of the greatest triumphs that you've experienced being at the IMO and, learning about, what the IMO is, what the Pacific presence has been like, at the IMO, and just, share with the people what have been some of the hardest lessons, but also some of the triumphs and highlights that you've experienced, from your end.
But I
Yeah.
think JK totally, as usual, very eloquently put the finger on one of the key things here when answering the question of how did we come to this. It's definitely serendipity. Prince of Serendip. Please read the book and inquire. It's really great. But
Right here, guys. Here's the book. Here's the book. Here's the link.
And so it's research. The best research is always by serendipity. The people that find things, you cannot decide, I'm going to discover this and that. The greatest medical discovery or so on are always by serendipity. And so you were asking me, how did I end up? I think it's sometimes, I wouldn't want to speak about destiny, but sometimes, there is some force that leads you to there. So when it comes to the IMO, very often, I'm sure John and I were in a situation where this is hard. We were cornering, working extremely long hours and so on, but we knew we had to do it. We knew we had to do it. There was no other way, but we had to pull this. And many times we didn't know how, but we did. So greatest achievement, and I think this is really one of the biggest achievements to be put at the credit of the MCST, which is the Voluntary Multi-Donor Trust Fund, and the fact that the Pacific alone managed to bring more countries to sit, attend, participate, and engage with these important negotiations. If it hadn't been for the Pacific, there wouldn't be that many countries at the moment trying to have a say and trying to contribute. So this is definitely something to put to the credit of the Pacific. But the way countries are now also operating at the IMO, particularly since LDCs and developing countries, trying to work a bit more together. This has changed the dynamic also that was at the IMO previously. It was a bit of a gentleman club, but it was also through connections, through friendship and so on, that things would progress. Here, I think we have taken the IMO to a different level. There is now a bit more of proper consideration, broader consideration. It's not perfect. There is still a lot of decisions that are taken behind closed door, and that's really an issue for us. And so this is what we are really trying to tackle with John: more transparency, more open discussion of everyone around the table, addressing all the issues, trying to find a compromise together, and no more of pushing of big developed country ramming their way through and throwing what they don't want. So this is really what we are working on, and this is at the moment the very challenging part, is trying to keep multilateralism alive, basically, trying to keep everyone having a say in what international is meant to do in relation to protecting the environment and decarbonizing shipping. And there's many other portfolio and many other topics on the agenda at the IMO: noise pollution, ballast water,
seafarer safety. Yeah.
seafarer safety, extremely important. But what we are doing, we hope with the MEPC, trying to have a more democratic approach, more multilateral approach, and open discussion about all these issues, and not only some making decision for the rest, I think is invaluable. I'll stop here.
That's true. Yeah. How about you, Toko?
Yeah, but I think it was great what PJ said. I think in terms of achievements, I think it's really hard to see achievements when you're in the thick of the work. I think if you take a step back and really look at the work, that you'll see that there's been a lot of achievements from the Pacific side. I think the first thing is just representation.
Yeah.
That's a really big achievement. I think, and it relates kind of to the voluntary multi-donor trust fund. It's just getting Pacific people to be in the IMO and be part of the decision making.
Yeah, I mean, the distance as well. Yeah, the time changes and all of that. Yeah, adapting to that. Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. And I think other countries are starting to see or get used to seeing Pacific faces in the IMO. That's huge. And I think that's one of the big achievements that we've been able to do as MCST, and also some of our partners that have helped out, getting Pacific peoples into their seats and getting them acquainted to the decision making. And it's good for other countries to see that the Pacific is taking a huge interest in these, because it's very important for our region.
Yeah.
But also getting high level representation. That was a huge achievement for us, getting ministers to come to the IMO.
Yeah.
That really shows the IMO that, this is an extremely sensitive, serious issue for us. The decarbonization especially, but also all the work that the organization does in terms of regulating international shipping. That's a big achievement. And that's one of the main things, which the project of the GHG was trying to achieve, to get the Pacific there to be part of the decision making. And I think that's been achieved to a great deal. In terms of the organization itself, I mean, we faced a lot of difficulty getting from the organization, a lot of resistance from the organization. And I think a lot of times we felt like we weren't being listened to. Even getting, ministers involved, it seems the organization has some kind of immunity to that as well. And it's been very challenging to work with the organization when it doesn't take on board a lot of what we're asking for. And I think we see some of the changing. I mean, now we have the voluntary multi-donor trust fund, and I really think that initiative needs to be expanded across the entire landscape of the IMO's work, not just the GHG. Because it's really important to get people involved. I mean, we really see other organizations have those things in place. The IMO needs to follow with that. I mean, now we have the regional presence office. That's another thing that the IMO is taking steps to try to get into more contact with regions like the Pacific who don't have much capacity. But also, I think now the Pacific is a recognized player within the IMO. That's such a huge achievement. It shouldn't be taken for granted, because it's been many years in the making. Yeah. The time of the sea captains and the registry people's hopefully coming to an end, and getting political people to sit in their seats and make decisions for their people. That's a big achievement.
Oh, cool, man. And one of the that's so key is to bring into light these things, so that the people know. Because what I've been trying to do is, with all the technical work and the legal work that you guys have been doing, how can we try and translate that story back to our communities back home? Because that's such a key thing too, because we come to these spaces as representatives of our communities back home, and how important it is to take the story and put it in a way that our communities back home understand and can relate to and can support. And I think that's something that, our Pacific delegations have been very good with, in terms of outreach, in terms of, taking the story and putting it in a way and translating it back home and keeping people updated on what's happening in this space. I think that's so key, And so, speaking of outreach, you guys are at the forefront. You guys are one of the lead negotiators for the regions, like you for JK for Tonga, and you PJ for Tuvalu, and I can see your Tuvalu sign on on your call. You know, I mean, shout out, man. It shows. So take the people, for all of our audience and all of our people listening. You know, when you go into a room, or like when you go for bilats, or when you go for important negotiations, like in those group huddles or in like different rooms to discuss, take us through the process of how do you come into that space? How do you prep yourself going into such, you know, a tense space when stakes are high? How do you prep yourself? And when you go in, how do you take us through that whole process? How do you conduct yourself?
Yeah, I think firstly it's just to say that I'm just a supporter to Tonga, the lead negotiators, the rest of the government. Okay. But yeah, I think it's quite a. I think when you're sitting in there in the moment, it's kind of different than when you're looking at it afterwards. Because when you're there in the moment, you don't really care about what's happening in the room. What you care is that you get your point across and that you say what you have to say. That's the important thing. I think, there's a lot of considerations on like being very diplomatic. That you have to be very diplomatic when you're talking, because these are country representatives, right?
Yes.
And I think, like we saw last April, MEPC 83. I think we saw a lot of that, of people's cool starting to slip because of how difficult impasses were. You know, this impasse was very difficult, and people started to get stubborn. But yeah, I think for me, I think it's just part of my nature. Also, being the youngest in my family, you know, I'm always very diplomatic. Like I never lose my cool. But yeah, like I think it's very difficult to maintain your composure when it comes to very difficult situations like that in the room. And many times, it's probably best to not say anything. And that's something very
interesting.
Difficult.
Yes,
that's something very difficult to do, because I think as a negotiator, and me, I'm just a beginner negotiator. It's very tempting to say, you know, to engage. You know, tit for tat. When someone speaks, you speak back and you say something. But I think one thing that's good with Pacific people is that they always listen. Listening is really important for us in our culture.
Yes.
And being respectful. And I think it really helps in a lot of very tense situations to just not say anything. And I think that's something that I'm trying to practice nowadays. But also to say stuff when we need to.
Yes.
When you need to say something, you need to say something. Especially when it's about climate change and all those issues. But I think it's good. I've learned a lot from the negotiators in our team. There's different styles of negotiating on our team. Some are much quieter and more in the written side. Some of us are more engaging, physically with people and talking orally. And it's really good, because I've learned a lot from, not just from our team, but also from people on the other side. Negotiators on the other side, very capable negotiator. Some of them from climate change on both sides of the camp. You know, really learning their styles and seeing how they get things done. It's been really, really interesting for me, and something that I've taken. And I think that's something that we can probably teach our people in the region as well, about those different negotiating styles. But sometimes you have to feel the situation.
Yeah.
Whether you need to say something or not, and what you need to say and in what manner. Because there's a good way to use anger. Anger is very good when it's used right, but not when it's used all the time. So yeah, those are things that I've learned, and things that continue to use in the upcoming negotiating.
So yes, I mean, similarly to John, it's important to keep in mind that even though there is Tuvalu and so on my side, because I joined so many meetings and people know me as sitting with the Tuvalu delegation, but I'm actually not Tuvalu government. I work for the MCST, and I'm only technical advisor. And so, whatever advice we give to the Tuvalu government, they are totally free. They're not bound by it, clearly, and they are a sovereign state, and they can basically do the opposite. We are only here to support. So Very often, so I'm not even a lead negotiator for Tuvalu. There is professional people there on the team, and
Yes,
I have
true.
to send I'm very very impressed by the Tuvaluan team that really started with very little experience at the IMO and that are now really proficient in IMO lingo and process and so on. So.
Shout out to Tuvalu, man. Shout out to Tuvalu, Minister Kofi, all your team.
Shout out to
So good, man.
Tuvalu.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. Minister Kofi coming regularly to IMO meeting and interjecting very often, being extremely cognizant in procedure and being able to adequately intervene and impose a pace that is the Pacific pace. So very, very, very
They have a
great.
grant as well, you know.
Grant, exactly.
And who's our seasoned veteran? Tassi. Let's go, Tassi.
I actually started with Tapugao Falefu, so that was my first IMO meeting, and I remember Tap was saying, "Oh, PJ, if you want to grab the microphone and speak and say anything," and at the time I was terrified. It was my first appearance at the IMO. I was like, "No way!" But and to come back to more of what John was saying there, because he's here selling himself very short, because he had already a fair bit of experience in relation to diplomacy. The diplomacy was really the area that I had no skill, no experience, and I think from time to time it does show, because I tend to show my emotion or what I think about certain proposal a bit too much, and so it's easy for people to look at me and to know exactly whether this is a good thing viewed by the Pacific as a good thing or not, or viewed by Tuvalu as a good thing or not. But so this is something really on which I've tried to progress as much as I could, and I'm still a long way away, I think. And as John brilliantly put it, it's a bit of a poker face. So first of all, you have to be always in control and not show exactly what's happening, but also, you have to react adequately. There is no point in interjecting, opposing everything. You cannot let your anger come out, but sometimes it is very effective to do so. But it's a type of weapon that you cannot use all the time, and so it's been a very very steep learning curve. That's really has been the hardest for me, I would say. Because there are certain dynamics in international diplomacy, for once, at the IMO, in specific committee at the IMO. There's all sorts of different dynamics that you need to be able to be cognizant of. You need to understand also the process very well, to be very effective. And whatever you say has some impact. So it is, as John said, I think if you're not sure, if you don't know, it's always better to stay quiet, remain silent, unless there is clearly a gross problem that you can identify. But you always have to err on the side of caution at the IMO. And in relation to maybe the crowd and so on, I would say, it's very important that obviously we have to do more communication and revert back to the basis and to the constituency and explain what's happening. But it's also important that the constituency gets interested in what's happening. Why are those guys getting so hanged up about the IMO, about decarbonization? Why is it so important? What are the real issues? Who is playing nasty there? And what are our team doing about it? And maybe if you're passionate about it, how could I help? We are always willing to have people coming and sit with us and listen to what we are doing and why we are doing it. More transparency, more communication, more explanation, so that everyone is involved. And this is really generally, for instance, we often say that to our European colleague when, for instance, they look at us and they say, oh, equity, this is your thing. You have to defend your equity. No, it's everyone's jobs to defend everything.
Yeah.
And everyone, even from the northern hemisphere, if you're young and you're passionate about fairness and justice, get involved.
Yeah.
This is not only the role of the Pacific. Those few countries are in charge of equity, and only us. No,
Yeah.
everyone have the duty
Yes.
for fairness and justice. And so this is, I think, what we try to convey to people, and that would, I think, be a good message to send back to the bases. Everyone needs to be involved in this. Everyone needs to try to understand, and it's not easy because these days we are overwhelmed by information about so many different things, and
Yes.
you might feel that you're not in the position to have any power, but you have 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals thousands, and if we're moving together, we can change things.
Wow. Awesome. I got a little bit of, a motivational lecturer vibes from you, as if I was in one of your lectures and motivational speaking classes, PJ. So thank you.
Not my intent.
No, I mean, I was inspired. That's so cool. Like I'm saying, man, yeah, it's my duty to be involved, And I mean, that's such a good piece of advice for all, because that was one of the questions as well. It was, what was the advice, you want to give to aspiring young diplomats that want to get involved, whether at the IMO or at the international diplomacy level or, international affairs or whatever spaces, be it international or regional or domestic, when you go into these diplomacy, it's important to take notes of these. And I think those were good advices that you gave. There you go, guys. Some really good advice for careers, but also for your life, life building as well. And so now I come to a certain text section, because this is the title of this podcast, Talanoa, is a Just and Equitable Transition News, Talanoa, the Traveling Diplomat with JJ. And so for the both of you, we're looking at international, we're looking at regional, and we're looking at domestic. What does a just and equitable transition mean in all of these different spaces?
I think the just and equitable transition, and I've been saying this for a while now, I think what's at the center of the just and equitable transition are the people, the people-centered transition, especially the most vulnerable.
In shipping too,
transition for me, it's kind of something that addresses all the different priorities that we have. So it needs to be that 1.5 alignment is important because it's a climate change issue. That's why shipping's decarbonizing. Again, I keep saying shipping's decarbonizing, not because we're running out of oil, and that's something that we need to keep hearing. It's about climate change. So it needs to do it in a way where it actually has a meaningful contribution to those reductions, to halting the climate crisis. That's at the core of just an equitable transition, because it's a climate issue. The second thing is ensuring transformative change in the shipping sector. Right now, shipping is it's essentially just the same thing that's been going for a long time, just with engines. Shipping hasn't changed much for a long time. The way that it works as a business, it hasn't changed much. I mean, there's just much layers now, but money flows one way.
Goods and services flow.
Yeah, exactly. There's exploitation going on. There's a lot of dodgy things going on as well. But yeah, shipping, it's just become more complex, but it essentially hasn't changed much. There are a set of countries, the first people who moved and had the resources to move, they're the ones benefiting from the shipping landscape right now. They have these huge companies right now and they're well positioned. And just an equitable transition is about transformative change. It's about changing the landscape, making sure that the whole world, because it's connected by shipping, is able to benefit from that shipping landscape. And that's something really scary to a lot of countries, because transformative change is never easy. and it doesn't happen overnight, and it can actually flip the whole dynamic on its head. That's something scary for a lot of companies. But yeah, just an equitable transition is about transformative change and bringing on board those countries who aren't benefiting from what shipping is doing right now. We all benefit in some sense from shipping because we all need, we're all consumers, we all need goods transported by ships. But in terms of benefiting in a real way, like where the money goes, that's not going to everyone. And that goes to benefit the communities of those countries and to uplift their standard of living. And about development, because the landscape right now, development of shipping is very uneven. It's very unfair. But yeah, just an equitable transition needs to ensure that kind of transformative change that we're not seeing yet right now. Yeah, but the people are at the center of this, and like seafarers, we need to look after them as well. Make sure that they don't lose their jobs. And not just member states, but also in communities like indigenous communities.
Shout out to the indigenous communities. Yeah.
Exactly, like our friends in the
ICC
Arctic Circle. Yeah, exactly. They have to rely
Inuit Circumpolar Council. Shout out to them as well, man. Awesome work.
To keep their people fed and survive. Like, these are all the things, it's shipping. It's not just the ship. The ship has benefits and it has negatives as well. I need to make sure that we're able to address those things for just an equitable transition. But yeah, it's a huge task. Just an equitable transition is a huge task.
Okay.
And it's a huge ask as well. But if we want to live in a much fairer world, in a world that's much more equitable, then we need to make sure that we make those changes where we can.
How about you, mon hermano?
Hermano, here I'm going to put my sort of legal hat on.
Let's do it.
Because I have a bit more of a legal approach to just and equitable in the sense that I think it's and I do that because I'm very much aware of how the just and equitable approach could backfire. And so this is where I think it's important to start to recall that just an equitable and an equitable approach is justified when an equal approach has failed. And this is exactly where we are. We are in a situation where we can see that the equal treatment of country has failed the Pacific SIDS and LDCs, and the same as Caribbean LDCs and developing countries, because we are left with, because we are not on the main maritime routes, because we are very small markets, we are really left out with some islands not being serviced at all and just living on a very, very thin line of supply of water and food. And it is equality that has failed us. And in law, if you want to justify and use differential treatment, which is what equity is, you need to show that equality has failed. Equality produced some results that are so negative that there is a need for corrective measures. And that's exactly where we are. So my point here is to say we are at the equitable stage because, and this is a step that is often forgotten when people move too fast to equity, this is happening because equality has failed. You have failed us. You are leaving a whole side of the world behind, not even considering, and this is quasi psychopathic behavior. And I'm sorry if I express myself like this, but how can you not have the conscience of looking at what's happening and in your good conscience and your good mind thinking, this is fine. No, it's not fine. And the explanation that we get into pseudo diplomatic and economic circle is that, well, if there is no market, then what do you want? We are in a market economy. The market has to respond, has to address the issue. Yes, but in some cases the market can't. And that's exactly when you start to have a room for regulation, a room for differential treatment, and so on. So it is this articulation there that is often forgotten. And I would say, and I don't want to make accusation here, but it's quasi intentionally, because if you remove the justification for equity, then you're able to better tackle equity and say, no, this is not justified. So it's very important to remind why this is happening and why there is a need for equity constantly. Otherwise, you create resentment. You create this idea of the differential treatment of some is not justified. Why are they not treated like everyone else? Why is there this thing? And so it is key, and maybe we have articulated that time and time again on the floor at the IMO, and I don't think that there is any delegation at the IMO that doesn't know that SIDS and LDCs are at a specific situation that needs special care. But even if they are on the text, or even if they read it, they probably don't know what it means until you end up, in the Marshall Islands, in Tuvalu, in some remote island in Vanuatu, or in Tonga when there is a disaster and a tsunami, and you really understand what being dependent on maritime transport means. Because you do not have the internet cable anymore, your port infrastructures have been damaged, your ships are probably at the bottom of the ocean, and so these realities are really, really hard to convey to people that are not from the Pacific, because very quickly it also ends up being a sort of you're whinging. We are not whinging. Come and see what's happening on the ground. So this is something, and again, you need the right balance. And so explaining where we're coming from, why this is justified, why it's actually completely unconscionable not to do it, and then what is the correct response, what is the correct level, just enough, not too much, because then you will create resentment. So I'm very, very much aware of that, and it's not in the mentality of Pacific Islanders to go and ask, and that's that is also something that John and I are grappling with, because when we construct those submissions, it's something that is grounded. It's not a game of begging, because otherwise, trust me, we would be accused of being there just only for the money. We have been in the past, but very, very often we're able to show that we always are acting with a moral upground, and we will always try to do so in the interest of the environment first.
Yes. I mean, and it's really important, because there needs to be ambition with, the seriousness of what's going on, because it seems that, being stagnant and postponement seems to be almost like the status quo right now. There's nothing seems to be moving with how critical the world is in right now, as like in shipping or the environment or our oceans. There seems to be not enough ambition enough to make the change needed, and it becomes the rationale. And I think what like countries like ours have been constantly doing ever since we started to really engage in this space was we've tried to transcend the rationale, or be trans-rationale. Quote me on that, No, but what I'm saying, and that's something to be really important. But now, okay, pause Manda on the IMO. We're gonna do a little bit of an icebreaker, and I'm gonna go first with you, PJ. And this is called rapid fire, meaning you only answer these questions in one sentence. You can't bring your lecturer, your philosophy or legal hat on and keep going. Only one answer, only one sentence. So guys, this is rapid fire. We're just starting this, so this is rapid fire. And so these are really cool questions, rapid fire questions that you have one sentence to answer. First one, are you ready?
So it's me first, huh?
Yes, you're first, brother PJ. If you could have one superpower, what could it be?
Breathe underwater.
Breathe underwater. What is a small win that felt huge to you recently?
Recently. Small win.
It may have been small for you, but it must have felt huge. Regarded small to others, but felt huge to you.
Making a splash with the issue of process.
Making a splash
IMO.
issue of process at the IMO. Perfect. Last one. You ready? You're on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Who was the last person or what was the last post that you reposted on LinkedIn? Who was the last person you searched and what was the last post that you reposted?
I think the last post was actually that I reposted. I didn't repost on LinkedIn, but I posted it somewhere. Was a post from Minister Ralph Regan Vanuatu.
What was it on?
LinkedIn. Was it Ecocide? Was it Ecocide or was it on the plastic? One of those.
Okay. One of those, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, you passed. Good one. Okay, John, you ready?
Question for John.
Yes. Rapid fire, John. Toko, are you ready?
Yeah, no, let's see.
Okay, one sentence. What is the best advice you have ever received?
Lose weight.
Okay, wait, okay. Next one. What is a book that you would recommend to your friends?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, honestly, looking at the state of the world today, I'd recommend the Bible.
Hey, let's go. I was about to say, guys, the link to this book is here, but everyone knows the Bible. Okay.
Your grandmothers.
Okay, last one. If you could live in any decade for a year, which one and why?
You know, I always think, I know it's one sentence, but I always think that everyone is made to live in the decade that they're living in right now. You know, we all have the tools to face the challenges that we're currently facing right now. And so I would live in the one that I'm living in right now.
Okay, fine. Good one. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Don't live in the past, don't live in the future.
Live in the now.
Where you are.
Okay. We tried to make it interesting. Okay. So we're going towards the end now. So now, you know, with our work at the IMO for both of you, what is the plan moving forward for 2026? I mean, considering what happened in the extraordinary session last year, you know, and you know, trying to digest everything. So what's for both of you first? You know, what's your plans moving forward in 2026 this year for this work?
I think I'll just start. I think it's very important that we are able to bring some kind of conclusion with the net zero framework discussion in the GHG negotiation. That's really important. And that's something that we're trying to pursue now. And that's something that also me and PJ are working on as well, trying to get the position for Six-Pack and, you know, get them to support what is the best way forward for them. And especially what happened last year, I think I was very disappointed. I think a lot of people know that. Everyone was disappointed. I mean, and I honestly feel that even those countries who voted, a lot of the countries who voted to delay also had felt a bit of disappointment as well. But yeah, I think it's important to say that, you know, once we delay politically this stuff, the climate continues to change and get worse. Something that we need to take into consideration. So we need to make sure I'm doing my best now to make sure that we get something this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Malo, bro. Hermano?
Various things. There's many. I just wanted to tackle the question that you asked to John, influential book, but there is one that is very overlooked. If you want to do science, please do a little bit of philosophy of science and read Karl Popper. But the key demonstration is about fallacy. If you cannot demonstrate that something is wrong, it's not science, it's religion.
Yeah.
And this is extremely important, because science in our negotiation, in any international environmental negotiation, plays a critical role. And it's important to keep science as science, which means that you should always be able to demonstrate again. So it's a never-ended question. Okay. But if you adopt this type of questions with dogmas, then it's never really too good. So just an apartheid. Now, to come back on what's going to be the most important this year, John is totally right. We need to get that through. We need to get the net zero framework adopted and accepted. And I insist, adopted and accepted, because otherwise it's a total failure of the international system, multilateral system, and this is not a good news. So it's not, I think the question is even broader than simply the decarbonization of shipping. It is in which world do we really want to live in? Here, this is very serious. We need to have countries talking together. We need to be able to reach a common position that will not satisfy anyone in particular, but that at least everyone can rally to, because it has benefit. It will have a global scheme, and so there will be a unique system applicable to all, and we can all live under the same system instead of dividing, disrupting everyone again. So this is unfortunately, we are in the period of transition at the moment, and this is why we are where we are. But it's important that we triumph with multilateralism, and we get a commonly agreed position. So I really hope that, not only for the sake of decarbonization of international shipping, but also for international democracy to be winning out of it, that the net zero framework is adopted through discussion and consensus, and that everyone is at least supported a little bit in doing this.
Nice one, bro. I think that's a great plan moving forward. Yeah. Sorry, Toko.
I think no, just going back to Karl Popper. I think Karl Popper once said that argument is not for the point of argument is not victory but progress. And I think if we don't, even if we didn't get what we want last year,
shout out to him.
We still push the boundaries of what we need for the world. Right? We're still trying to push it to be more ambitious. If we wanted those negotiations.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, this is his book here. This is his book right here.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's really important to know, that we're not here arguing, especially in this kind of landscape. Victory is not the end, it's the progress. We need to progress towards something different than what we have right now.
Continuous progress. Yeah. All right, guys. We are now reached the final section of our Talanoa today for Jet News Talanoa. Again, just want to thank you guys. It's really going amazing. And so we've now reached the section called the Recover Corner, REKAVAKORNER. We've now reached the Recover Corner. And now we wanted to ask you both to share what's your favorite cover to drink. Share with the audience. What's your favorite cover to drink and why?
The favorite cover?
Yeah, what kind of cover do you like to drink?
Well, because I'm from Vanuatu, obviously it's going to be the kava from Vanuatu. But Vanuatu has 80 islands, and so the kava always tastes differently from island to island. So there's islands where the kava is extremely strong and will give you a bit of a headache the next day. And I'm thinking about the kava from Pentecost, for instance. So the kava that everyone says, I'm not a big kava drinker, but the kava that everyone says is the smoothest, I think, is the kava from Malikula.
Shout out to Malikula!
Malikula, that's right. And certain place in Malikula. And then if you want the kava that is even sweeter, what you do is there's a process. I don't know if you do that in Fiji or in Tonga, but there is a process whereby to extract the kava, basically you've got to squeeze the root, and so you can do that manually with a grinder and get a powder, and then you process the kava this way. But the other way, and they do that in Vanuatu, is you chew the kava first. So you break all the fibers in your mouth first, and once you have a big amount of chewed kava, then you make the kava out of the kava that has been chewed. So I did that once, and so the kava indeed tasted much sweeter because the fibers are not broken, so it's not bitter.
So you chew it and you drink it, or you chew it and you share it?
No, you chew it, it's your own. You chew it, and once you have all those fiber, you do your own kava.
Wow.
In your own kava bowl. But in some villages, they do that. Some people will chew your kava, and it's obviously not recommended because then for prophylaxis reasons, you can share disease and so on. So it's not recommended. But in Vanuatu, in some villages, I think they do that.
Wow.
But for me, yeah, that's the best kava, but it takes a long time to chew. It'll take you an hour and a half to chew enough kava so that you can make a couple of bowls. Yeah.
You might be chewing and you're trying to speak, and someone will say, "Hey, cover your mouth."
Very funny.
Wow, that's an interesting way. I heard that some places in the region, do it like that, where you chew it and you squeeze it, but it's good that you squeeze it and it's for your own. I hope they don't squeeze it and you share it around with everyone. That won't be the best. How about you, Toko? Do you chew it as well?
I think with the, going to the science of kava, because kava has something called kava lactones.
Yeah.
It's all, all kava has that, but has different types, because there's different types of lactones. Kava lactones, and there's different concentrations in it, and I think it all contributes to the effect of kava. But I don't drink kava for the flavor; I drink it for the conversation. And that's how I tell that the kava is good, is how good the conversation is.
I was about to say the same thing too. And so, guys, we have reached the final. And so my last question for you both. I'll start with you, Toko. Tell the people what's one song you're currently listening to and what's one song you're currently vibing to. Let the people know.
Yeah, no, what am I listening to now?
What's one song you're listening to? Let the people know, and then we'll vibe to it.
I was listening to, and I did share this with you actually, I was listening to a Tongan song.
Which one?
It's an old song, it's an old hymn. It's called Komama Niok Vahaloa. Very good song.
Oh, what's it about?
I'll send you the link. No, it's just...
Well, guys, no, the link will come up here. The link will come up here, and the music will be playing right now as we speak. So this is the song, guys. This is the song.
Yeah, listen to
it. Okay, cool. All right, well, hopefully this song will motivate everyone else out there to get yourself hyped up for a cool day, for a great week that's happening. How about you, PJ?
I've got plenty of songs. I really like the music, particularly from the Solomon Islands, but Vanuatu has some good songs too. But for some reasons, and I listen to some, but they are not really in the public or out there. But there is a funny song that is so tacky. It's from the 70s.
Oh my gosh!
I think I'm going to give you that one.
Share with the people. Tell the people. What song is this? And we'll vibe to it.
Yeah. I love that song actually. I used to listen to this one. It's called Sunshine Reggae.
Oh, give me just a little smile. That's all I ask of you. Is that too much? Sunshine Reggae. Yo, that's my vibe song.
Yeah,
yo, guys,
song.
Sunshine Reggae. Listen to that song. That's such a cool song, and I 100% support that answer, guys. That's a great song. Oh, I think it's called, the group is Laid Back, and it's called Sunshine Reggae.
That's right.
Oh, give me give me just a little smile.
Yeah, exactly.
And we also have, JK's hymn. Again, it helps a lot. Brings back a little bit of moral flavors back into our life to keep us grounded. So again, guys,
that one personally was for you.
hey, come on, man. Come on, why you gotta do that now? Why you gotta do that? Oh, Yahweh. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you both so much for this great Talanoa, for this great series, and letting the people know who is PJ and who is JK. I mean, JK, you're joining us from where?
A non-location.
I can't disclose my location for safety reasons. I'm from Canterbury.
So JK is joining us all the way from Canterbury, England. PJ, where are you joining us from?
Same undisclosed location for safety reasons and security reasons.
The people will check your location. Check his location, guys. And I'm joining you guys from the Netherlands. And again, thank you guys so much. I mean, the time difference and all, you guys' participation in this really helped. And I think the message that we've talked about today and that we've shared in Open Talanoa, I think would really be great as a message for the people to listen to. So again, guys, thank you so much. JK, any final words?
Eat your vegetables.
EJ, any final words?
Last words, stay engaged.
Hey, and with that, guys, thank you. Guys, we see you on the next episode of Just and Equitable Transition News. This is JJ, the Traveling Diplomat JJ podcast series. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, John Kautoke. We see you guys in the next one. Stay loved, stay blessed. Jet now, jet tomorrow, and jet for the future. Cheers, guys.